with the number of 5 people contracting the virus every hour, does the private sector have a moral obligation to do more to help these people? Joining us to discuss this is Ken Isaacs from the charity Samaritan's Purse. 2 of its volunteers, you'll remember, had contracted the disease. Thank you so much for being with us today. We've been talking a lot, especially last week, against the UN backdrop of what governments need to do to help to get ahead of this. What role do businesses need to play in helping to stop the spread of Ebola?
Well, I think that there's a number of things that companies can and are doing. I can give you just a few examples. In Liberia, where we're working, Firestone, which is owned by Bridgestone, just donated $1 million. Firestone gave $500,000 of that directly to Samaritan's Purse to fight Ebola in Liberia, and then the other $500,000 was given to UNICEF for use in Guinea and Sierra Leone. Another way that companies can and are helping are with very specific gift-in-kind donations of commodities, but it's important that listeners understand that they need to coordinate that with the agencies and give them exactly what they need. An example of that, yesterday we sent a 747 plane from Charlotte, North Carolina to Monrovia, Liberia. It's actually landing about right now. And one of the commodities that we had on there were supplies that came from a little group called Access to Excess, and they work with corporations to collect personal protective gear and different kinds of nutrients that are useful in the fight. And then the third thing that I think corporations can do that is very, very useful, and that is to lend their capacity. In the airplane that we loaded and sent yesterday, Ace Hardware helped us procure those commodities. They gave us preferential pricing, and they helped us with our whole supply chain management. So those are just 3 quick examples of what corporations are doing in the fight against Ebola.
Ken, the numbers are staggering. The pictures we see are devastating. Has the response to date been adequate? No, they haven't been adequate. If they were adequate, we wouldn't see the spike in the disease continuing to grow. I mean, I don't want to paint a pessimistic picture, but the truth is it is a very dangerous disease. It's a very lethal disease, and it has, in fact, spiraled out of control. Dr. Tom Frieden was quoted multiple times, and I agree with it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think inevitably there is going to have to be very serious provisions made for home-based care. There simply will not be enough beds. But a lot more needs to be done, a lot more has to be done. And at Samaritan's Purse, we're doing all that we can. We have reentered our leadership team back in. We've got 350 staff on the ground. We're building community care centers, and we're providing training. But we're going to have to approach this very much from a public health perspective. And that's sort of where it stands right now. And it's good to see, it's encouraging to see the commitments that you have had from the business community to date. But I'm going to be very frank about this. There are companies that are making millions of dollars through their business. It seems that $100,000 here, some equipment here is not nearly enough. What do you need for them? If you could speak, directly to the corporations who are watching this, and they all have committees that are supposed to be outreaching to communities and doing the right thing. What do you need from them?
Well, I would just say that if a corporation has business interest in Sierra Leone and Liberia and Guinea, it would be in their business interest to invest heavily in fighting this disease, because as the disease devastates the countries, threatens the economies, destroys the workforce, this is going to have an impact on their bottom line. So there's definitely the moral obligation, but even from a free market input, they need to invest to maintain their capacities. So I would certainly encourage corporations to get involved. This is not going to be a fight that money alone is going to beat, and we need everybody's help. That is something that we have been saying for a long time. And so I would encourage all corporate entities that are involved in West Africa to find ways that they can get involved. Cash is the best way. Specific commodities is a second way. But lending their capacities. Another example of lending capacities, Firestone has provided to us their warehouses, their truck fleet, their forklifts, just to help with the logistics in country. The reason Firestone is doing that is they have a long history in Liberia. They have a large rubber tree plantation there.
and they want to take care of their people, and that is a morally correct approach to do that, and it's also good for their business.
Absolutely, Ken, and we applaud those who are doing what they need to do, and we encourage the rest of them to get in line and hear your message for help. We know your people are on the front line trying to fight this, and we thank you for it. Ken Isaacs from Samaritan Purse.